Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We're going to start a new series, and it is titled Planning Your Off-Season. So a ton of topics we get into here, but Adam, I thought we could start at least trying to take them one at a time chronologically. So at the time of this filming, we're in the season of the year where a lot of people are finishing up summer contests. And there are always the temptations, hey, just one more contest. Now that I'm in this good a shape, I just want to do one more. Or maybe you've qualified for a contest, up and coming. And so we're talking about, maybe you've been dieting for 6 months, 8 months, even almost a year at this point. And the decision point can be, is it good for me? Can I physically even improve, or am I going to look worse and worse? So do you have any criteria, Adam, as you're discussing this with clients as to whether it's even a good idea to do that?
Yeah, if somebody's running hot and they're winning shows and they're trying to get an Olympia qualification, you might keep them going. And that always comes with a sacrifice, right, of potentially looking worse, depending on what type of dieting strategy you're working towards, or even, what you need to change. If somebody needs to get leaner and they've had pretty long prep, I think we've often seen that where someone just gets really flat when they've had a really long prep, and it's sometimes a little bit harder to pull them out of that flatness. But a lot of it just depends on feedback from the show, and if we do need to do an off season, is it smart to keep going, or should we just kind of pull the plug and grow?
Yeah, so I don't mind talking about our friend Eric Helms, because I know he'll never watch this. I have no risk of hurting his feelings, but he didn't compete for a long time, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe a little bit shorter. And this was his big year, so it was all over his social media. I'm competing, and he did a show. And I thought that was all he was going to do. And I kind of gingerly asked him, how do you feel it went? Do you feel like you looked your best? And of course he said, yeah, I thought everything went great. And I asked him that question because I didn't think so. So I'm trying to be, in a kind way to say, I think there's another gear you could reach. I know how you looked in photos heading in, and I just don't think whatever you did for your peaking, it worked quite as well. But in truth, he just wasn't quite lean enough. So he did decide to extend his contest season and just got shredded. So then, when he showed up for that next contest, really, even though he lost, of course, a little bit of size, as we all would, really just night and day difference on how much better he looked. So that was a good call. That's one of those places where you say, okay, I can hit another gear, I can do better. But if you've been dieting for too long, what are the symptoms you might see, Adam, that you're just not going to be able to improve like that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things, we've all had those clients who are at a pretty low intake and they're just not losing weight. So I would say just non-responding, and that, you're just really backed in a corner there, where if you have somebody, there's nothing wrong with a push, and that's something I want to get straight on this podcast, but you never want to give somebody more than they can handle. And sometimes you have those clients, they have, maybe a 8, 10, 12-hour job a day other than just competing. That they're doing absolutely everything in their power to get ready for the show. And if it's just not happening, sometimes it's smart to take a couple steps back before you make another run for it again.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to wrap up this initial episode, which is, competing isn't everything, and so sometimes it is a good idea to wrap it up and move into the off season. I have a client who's been competing for 2 years, and she just keeps getting better and better. She's won some pro shows. She's done extremely well at natural world championships. And she made the decision, okay, just one more. Let's just continue right into this next one, and then I'll be done. And there is a fear of not being able to look your best. But because she's been dieting this long, we've been able to cycle through that. So her food intake is actually quite high. And that's where we'll pick up next time, guys, because there are ways of handling your nutrition where you can extend that off season or pre-contest before you hit the off season. So we'll talk about that next time, and we'll continue this series on planning your off season.